Hello and welcome to the second edition of African Stars Legends. I'm the host, CK Kambaekwa. Joining us today is, as the man who need no introduction, is a former African Stars legend. Not a former legend, he's an African Stars legend. The one and only Manfred Menjengua. He's the man who scored that decisive goal, the opening goal against South Africa in the final of the Ace Fellowship Cup in 1975. Welcome to the program.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about your football career from where you started before you joined African Stars.
Carlos, I think I will have to take you a bit back because really about my upbringing and my original setup. I was born in the old location, and then we left to Katutura. There I started playing football in Katutura. We started as a team of young people called Thistle. By that time, I was around maybe 6 or 7 years. And then from there, I joined a team which was created by the guys in Katutura. There was a gentleman called Floyd Maharero. They started a team called 11 Explorer with Joe and Dixie,
Warwick
and all these guys. And Kogu also, all these guys, they were very, let's say sharp. These were professional players. By that time, although they were not professional, by the way, by that time, they could play football at high level. Then as a young boy, I was just incorporated, brought in, and started playing football for that team. Unfortunately, that team fell apart, at least because...
It fell apart because the opponents refused to play against them. They were too good.
That's true. But the main issue is that African Star was now even, let's say, becoming stronger. And therefore, all other teams like those Herero-based teams mainly collapsed. And therefore, many people joined African Star, especially Floyd Maharero. He became even a player and a coach in African Star by that time.
Oh, he was a brilliant player.
Yeah, it was. By way of playing, you cannot even compare him with some of the midfielders. But at the end of the day, what happened is, by around 68, when our own group of, let's say, own location was transferred or moved to
we were forcefully
removed, the African Star became the key team in our setup. Because, as you know, these teams were ethnically based, meaning that most of the players were from the Herero ethnic group. That means, at the end of the day, we were having more than even 50 young players, more than 50 young players. These were what we call the golden generation of African Star. You can even, let's say, name them. There were several guys. The key person there was our skipper, Kude Kaika, who was one of the most important players in this whole country, which I have realized that after he left the African Star, you could see the difference in play, because he was committed as a player and he was dedicated to even to winning. He was a winner by heart. But at the end of the day, we were competing for places. As I said, I think more than 50 players. We could even have three players and 3 teams from the same group, meaning that African Star had 3 different teams, which were playing at the highest level. That was at the first division level. And therefore, to get a place in African Star was so difficult for players. You have to work hard. We started playing, and that history, it's long. I will start by, the time we joined the first division team. The first person who came...
Before we go there, when you were at Agostino, you played with the stars like Capri, Chikwambi, Asabai, Johnny Veiko, Safe Cruiser, all these top guys. Capro, yes, and I think you were the young.
Yeah, you are right. That is one of the most important part of my, even, let's say, career in terms of football. I joined the Agostino team just the first year I joined, I went to there for, let's say for further studies. But then what happened in between is that we were playing against the main team, which was composed of Azerbais and Caprice and all these people. But we beat them. And therefore, automatically, they realized that there were better players here. Me and Mordi Kashimune were selected now to join the first team. And then I ended up playing with Azerbaijan, Capri, as you are saying, and I was mainly a sort of a right-wing player.
With Johnny Veko as well.
Yeah, Johnny Veko was one of the best. I think he was a center forward.
Yeah, was a center forward.
And I think at the end of the day, he came back even. He was in exile. But that is when I realized that my career in football is very, important. We played against big teams like Black Africa Stars too. And we even sometimes went up and I ended up winning trophies. It's a sort of, school team. We did not believe it. And the best teams by that time was Jembra and Augustine, which were completely, surprised that they could beat even established teams such as Black Africa and African Stars. Meaning that part of my history, it's very crucial in building my capacity to become one of the best players. When we left school, I think we started now playing for full time for African Stars. But the first thing which I wanted to mention is that we were having few people to do the job, to join the club. The first person was Smondi Kashimune. We joined the first team. And then he was followed by Kaika because the African Stars culture was old players who were being established for years were the key players. Nobody could come from anywhere. You have to be from the first generation before you join. But that was also a problem because sometimes these guys did not have sufficient time to come and, play the game because they were...
The majority of them were working for La France.
Yeah, and they were sometimes employed.
Exactly, they couldn't... Yeah. I remember Smondi when he made his debut. He was sitting, we were all seated in the stands. Mm-hmm. And one of the players, I think it was Kadima, was not there. And the players, all those days, they didn't have reserves. Just 11 players, so he was called from the stands to play. And that's how he opened the door. Then the next one was Kaika. And then you guys came in. Mm-hmm. But you were also just talking about the players, the two teams, the schools that were very strong, Debra and Augustinium. Now we talk about the Days Federation Cup. 1975, when African Stars reached the final against Deborah. The whole squad, from the goalkeeper to number 11 of Black Africa, were all Deborah students. You were playing right wing, and then in that particular match, you were an auxiliary right back.
I was pulled behind because, our coach, who was Kauta, what was his first? Kena
Kauta, yeah.
I realized that my best position, if the team have to at least to move forward, because you have to have midfielder or better in terms of distributing the ball. And that means my position was taken by
Sepp,
because he is not a very, let's say, fluent player in terms of the seven, the wing. He could not at least make it, and therefore I have to fit him. Therefore, this guy realized that the best position is for me to come back and then play with Kaika Kure in the midfield so that we can at least strengthen the strikers. And that was the only change. But honestly speaking, that was the best game I played. One of the best, I cannot even say the best. Because at the end of the day, I was excluded because I was a bit of a rebellion. A rebel means that I could not at least attend training as expected. And therefore, the coach realized that no, he needed at least to give me a bit of is it a penalty or whatever, suspension. But then I have to fight to get at least in. And I talked to Levi Yamutiti that please ask our coach so that I can at least prove to these people that I'm still okay. But that whole week I didn't attend the training, but fortunately I was allowed to come in.
Now coming back to the squad, you must have had a very good game plan, because looking at the quality of Black Africa and African Stars, I mean, there were a couple of weak links in the team, especially the goalkeeper was not really safe.
Yeah.
And then you have on the wings, you have Smondi and Sebo. Not, and the technical ability is a little bit lacking. But I think you came with a sort of a game plan, and you opened a score, I still remember.
You see, I'm thankful to our coach, because that gentleman normally used to watch for South African football, because he used to work in South Africa for some time. I think he was working for a company or something. And having, watched these games, he came with a sort of a strategy which we never even thought about. I was even against, being pulled back, but he realized that this game plan is for us at least to have to strengthen our back. Because if you've got a back, that means which even, let's say, pull, ahead, that means we'll have a better attacking options, better attacking options, and that is what he wanted. That at least let's strengthen the midfield so that we can feed the guys. And that is how we even block, let's say, guys like
Mikey, Hans, and they go up.
Yeah, and then they all work.
Slaughter of Rup and all these guys.
And the intention was, according to the coach's, strategy, is that Kiri, what is what is his surname?
Oh,
Chitwaisa was the key person. That is the back. We were playing around him. That means he have to go against either Pele. While they are in there, somebody must.
Also had Hasim Migeri there as well.
Yeah, Parians. But at the end of the day, what happened is we blocked these guys, but it was a very tough game, because at the end of the day, I managed, as you are saying, to get a score by luck. Because it was just a deflected, from the defense, and then that was the beginning of the whole thing. Secondly, the second goal came from Ben Higwebi, but that ball was even created by me.
I remember,
because I just, crossed it across to him, and then he had it in another goal. Before halftime, we were 2-0.
Yeah.
And we said that this is our game. But the game, unfortunately, when we came back, he was now better organized, because we read that this game, it's supposed to be won by them. This is a very important game, because it's the first time we even played for
such a large amount of money.
Large amount. This is the first time.
It was 1,000 rand.
Yeah. And we even at the end of the day, we got even something out of it. I will tell you later.
I think I remember the players got something like $30.
25 by that time was a big amount of money. Yeah. And we enjoyed ourselves.
It was a weekly salary.
Yeah. But then the second half was the toughest one. These guys just got two scores. In almost 10 minutes.
He scored through 5 Wagobab and Blue Seiko.
Yeah, these guys got a good memory. But at the end of the day, that is where we became a sort of we were weakened by our, let's say, pressure. Because the pressure was too much for the defense. But luckily enough, Karungu, that gentleman got a score which was around maybe 85 minutes before the game. Very late, and I said, my dear, good luck.
It was a well-taken shot.
Yeah, that was outside the box. Yeah, it was outside the box, but then he hit it properly. And then even that ball, it came from our back here. And then he got a score, and we said, this is it now. Let's go and block. Now we have to strengthen the defense. And then it was only 5 minutes, and then we where the whole game was ended. And then we said, at the end of the day, this was good luck, because BA was about at least to beat us, honestly speaking. But the organization of the coach really saved us on that given day. And up to now, even I still think that he was the guy who was supposed at least to be praised, or, at the end of the day, the African Star today talk about, Jari Peyovi, but at the end of the day, that is the guy who made it to happen. See?
Exactly.
Yeah. From there, actually, I even left the country shortly, because that was in 74.
75.
Yeah, that was 74 when we played the game around October, but then 75 I left.
That was 74, yeah.
Yeah, I left around 75 September there. And then I started, I didn't even play serious football. We played in Botswana. We created a team, for refugees. Those were just our local team. But we managed to play against Tafik and Tafa, all those, Twane, all those big teams. But then this team was at least supported by a certain South African gentleman who had, he was an AC guy who left the country before us, and he was a businessman. And then he was sponsoring us to play, around the places. But then after some time, we didn't stay long. I left. I went to the Namibia Institute, which we had Zambia, where our former president was actually the head of administration. And there we even created our own school team, playing against the lecturers. But it was not serious. But then we realized that a certain gentleman called, I think he was an administrator also, but a Zambian guy. He's a member of the Lusaka Tiger. By that time, there was a team called the Lusaka Tiger. He decided that let me try these two guys, me and Mike Morangi, just to join the club and then play with them. But we didn't play seriously because we were still concentrating on our school. And that was one of the problems, that we could not make it full-time, and therefore most of the time was just devoted to our studies. I left the country also, Zambia, went to Germany. But in Germany also, I didn't even play serious football because of my studies again. By that time, I was already also politicized, meaning that for me, football was a second fiddle. It was not something really by that time which I could concentrate on, as I realized that, no, first of all, once I come back home, I will just maybe not even having any qualification. And by that time, you may not even be able to help yourself. Football is not even a game of, let's say, continuous, playing or continuous, being on top of it. Because as you age or as you become older, you become even weaker. And you may even end up, with serious injuries. I remember some of the guys like Ben Kawea was having almost knee problems each and every time until he have to give up. That is when we realized that, no, this is a short-term thing. As you age, you need at least to have something alternative.
You did not stay long in the game. Unfortunately, you had to skip the country to further your academic aspirations. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know about you. But you will go down as a legend of African Stars. You were part of the golden generation, the team that solidified African Stars as a force to be reckoned with in domestic football. So now you came back, and I'm sure you watched a couple of matches and so on. So what is your impression of the strength of the squad, of the type of football? I know a lot of dynamics have changed in football. What is your impression?
Carlos, I think... having played football myself here locally, I've realized that our game of yesterday was a different type of game.
Is it in terms of talent?
In terms of expressive football. Players who can play expressive football are players whom you can watch and who are so versatile in the game. And we have got people like, Ben Kawea, Mengo, Oscar Fox. These guys, normally, they have got talent. And you have to play around them. As a team, it's almost like when you watch a team like Manchester City. You see, these people are playing around Haaland, that Norwegian. And they know that once you have got Bernardo will play the game or the ball to Foden. Foden will know that I have to squeeze it somewhere so that Haaland can take it. And this is the type of football which normally is lacking here. There are players who have got talents, but the talent need to be around certain players at certain times. Because you know that some of the guys are sharpshooters. If you've got a sharpshooter, why don't you use him at that time when you know that he's good? But what I've realized is that football in this country has reached a level, but the level they've reached, it's professional in terms of quality. Yeah, the quality of football is different. Because with us, we were playing for nothing at the end of the day. We were just playing for pride. But then that prior to was a competition type of football. You have to compete with other guys and even with other teams. But now you find today's players, they are so comfortable in terms of place. They know that my place is guaranteed. And therefore, the next team, I will be in the squad. But that is one of the problems we are having, that expressive players who can at least play versatile are lacking. And I had a chance to play with people like the one I mentioned, the Mengos, the Pepis. Those guys, at the end of the day, they were not good players. For instance, Silver Fox was good at opening up the defense. That's one of his specialities. He cannot shoot, he's not a sharpshooter, he's not what, but that is a specialization. And that is why
he was very intelligent.
Yeah, intelligent. And the same applies to Ben Kaweo. That gentleman, but he used his head, and we used to call him Onyoka because he's so fast in terms of tricks. And that is why I'm saying that expressive players are just the key you need. You need to know that by this time, once we are now almost at the end of the game, if we want to win the game, we have to use whoever. You see? That's a very important thing, because you know that if I place my ball at this more than a second, that ball will be in. But you lack these kind of players. You find that players like, I've seen a lot of players like, for instance, Kapama, who is now playing in Botswana. He's a very short guy. But
as a footed guy.
Yeah, but if you give him a chance in that midfield, you see how hardworking he was. And, he's a versatile player. Even although he's left-handed, in the midfield, he entered the midfield. And the other one is Ibondi, whatever, from Taika or something. Those guys are good players, but the players, they have to play around. Because these are midfielders. And you need to fit them. If there are people who are strikers, and, they don't ring up with you, automatically you become, futile. You become useless. You can at least be a good midfielder, but whom are you when you go supply? And that is why I said Keller made our winning just around the same thing. Strengthen the midfield. Automatically, if you've got midfielder and you've got a key person, like a striker whom automatically you will have a score. And this is the type of football I was expecting from today. I mean, from today's players, but it's a bit lacking. But as they become professional and there are academies and all these things, I think at the end of the day, they're on the right track. Because at the end of the day, with more training, more exposure, I think it will make a difference. And as you see, we had a game here, the African Cup, when we played against Mali. Mali game was the best apart from the one of Tunisia. Tunisia for me was a fluke. It was just a fluke because, we just got a score by chance. But the game they played against Mali showed that we have got ton of talent and we've got professionals to be also upgraded. And the more we invest in them, I think they will become even excellent.
Now, fast forward, let me quickly take you back. During the time when you were playing for African Stars, in between, there were two teams, Golden and High. I remember you played for Golden. And then later there was an animosity between these two teams, and the elders have taken in. Can you talk a little bit about that? And
that was
rivalry between.
That almost was a crisis in the team, because African Star was about to break up, because we had, as I said, we had more than 50 players. The African Star by that time, I think we were not even, let's say, having other players imported from somewhere. And as I said, we have to have a team, just a local team apart from African Star, just to play against each other. And that is when the whole thing started. The whole thing started as a joke. Okay, we are just training, and later it became a problem that the most of our defense were part of the high, as you said.
I played for
and you are right. those are the defensive player, and most of our strikers, the guy, the Ben, the Oscar, the me, and everybody were for Golden. And that is the crisis which almost happened because the defense at that time was so critical in, playing. These guys, you could not even pass them. Either you have to fall or you break. And this thing became a sort of a war. Yeah, in a war, and it's even a war which will carry on a year of attrition because it was continuously happening. And then people realized that these young boys, they would just break the team. Or once, we let them go on, they will create a crisis. Then they came in, and the whole thing was disbanded. And then we went back to the zero. But the most important thing also, apart from those two teams you are talking about, there was a team which was created by the guys. Flames who came.
The Flames, yeah. They're from close for day.
That team was almost created as a new team. And then most of the players also, they wanted players. Yeah, he played there. Even myself, I even passed there once. Yeah, and then all these other guys were just now thrown by these guys. But then, only because we could not get places in African Star. As I said, there were 50 almost players. And therefore, everybody was fighting to get a place. But then, these guys called us back one by one. Because there was now even tension between the whole thing. Almost fights, with some attempts. There were almost fights, physical fights. Because that tension was now part of the whole game now between the two teams, because it was a Herero-based teams, again, ethnically, But at the end of the day, Flame became also defunct. Because at the end of the day, we got even players like Oscar back. And then with that guy, we had asked him to get him back.
I remember Oscar used to juggle between these two teams. To the extent that he was given the name SMB, Chameleon. Can you still remember?
You are right. But this was at the beginning, because he continuously played that game of going back. Because he was, Flames could not do anything without him.
Yes.
And therefore, these guys even somehow, it's only that at that time we were not having any monetary gains. But if there were, this guy could have even become even one.
Well, I don't know whether you may recall that Hosea Kutako Cup, Shiwarongo. Oscar Mango went with African Stars. For some other reason, the Flames guy managed to smooth talk him. And he played for Flames and they won the cup. They played against African Stars in the final. They won 1-0.
No, that game is the game which almost, that was the first, game which we lost against them. Because they were having a sort of a plan, which was, I think we played the first game and then it was postponed. And when we went to Shiwarongo, these guys came with other players such as Low and other BA players.
The guy who scored the goal was Goti Gason from Muheke.
Yeah, look, they were having several players from other teams, and this is how they beat us. And then at the end of the day, we were expecting at least to win the game, but because all the best players they brought in, we could not make it. And then that is how we lost the game 1-0. But at the end of the day, we realized that this is because of the tension which was between the team. And by that time, there were no registration of players. That players belong to this team. Therefore, B players and all these things were just part of the game. And then we said, what can we do? But that is one of the things, another game we lost. And it was a painful, sort of a loss because we knew that what was happening, it's unfair, but what can you do? By that time, football was not better organized. And the other thing also, I just want to take you back to the issue of the first $1,000 you were talking about, Namibian rand by that time. You see, when those guys were selected, there was a selection of the Namibian team, Southwest team, which have to play it. And these guys who were selected were only two from African Star because all other teams were also supposed to contribute players. Kaika.
Asen Baye and Oscar Mende.
Yeah, but, Kaika and from our team, it was Kaika and Menjengua. And when they came back, those guys, they were completely tired because the next week, it's when we played the game after the game. And that game, it's why it was put on top of, let's say it was us who were local. at least to try to help them. Because this, for instance, Menjengua was completely tired.
No.
Haika was also tired.
Let me take you a little bit back. That game, Oscar Mango and Crucigo were already playing for Kaiser Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I came in, and there were a little bit of commotion as these guys should not play because they are professionals. But I think then they were given permission to play. Yes, I remember when.
But he was part of the African Star team.
He was already gone to South Africa.
No, by that time it was 70 what?
75.
75.
Yes.
No, 75, 74. 74 is when the game was played in January. Then at the end of the day, apart from that, what I wanted at least to highlight is that those guys came back with energy lost because they have been playing football for the whole week.
Oscar Mango and then played the Bala Cup in 1974. Mm-hmm. They won the Bala Cup. Mm-hmm. And it was late in 1974, and I think early 75 they signed for Kaiser Chiefs. Dave's Cup was in 1975.
Yeah, that is where your mistake is. 74, you will make your research, you do your research a bit. I left 75. Dave Cup was played around September, October there of 74. Then I stopped playing football. But that one we can at least still find out, don't worry. But by that time, Oscar was now part of the African Star. And Kaika, both of them were selected. And you see, that is where we started to, because we used to fight against each other, competing. Some of us, like Ben and me, we were even saying that why are we not selected? Because Herbert, Condrati favored you or what? Because these are the guys who were running the football with. But what, you are not better than us. This was the argument. And then when they went, that is when they came back. That was why I even insisted that I would like at least to get into this team, the one of the days you are talking about. And that was where the whole thing started. Those guys, even they could not even do much, especially Mengo. Because those guys were exhausted, having played a week, and then the next week, that was Saturday or Friday, they had to play 3 games a day. You know that we were playing 2 or 3 games, and how do you get a person after you've been playing, the Southwest team, game, and then you are now expected to play 3 games a day. But at the end of the day, we managed to win. That's one thing I wanted just to highlight. Those were our key players. But despite them being so exhausted, we had that,
that victory, what did it mean for the team?
My dear,
I remember we had a party there at Willie Chongarero's house after that, that match. And it was kind of ethnic pride more than anything else.
But you've got a good memory anyway. The point is that after the game, everybody was completely excited. And with, that is not only the player. Apart from other players, the whole supporters club was up in the air that this is it, we made it. And imagine being the first monetary sort of gain for teams. It was really something which everybody was happy and excited about it. And then that party you are talking about was just organized to make us feel that, hey, guys, we've done something. And at that given party, that is where we were at least given some monetary gains of 25, maybe around
5 rand
by that time. And, for me, as a player, that was the high level, the apex of my football playing career. At the end of the day, I realized that I've achieved what I wanted. Because I've even told you that I wanted to prove to the coach that despite the fact that I didn't even, attend the training, I will make it. But that was a bad manner, which we really realized.
What made you to be a rebel?
No, it's a very, very unfortunate situation because as you grow up and you become big-headed, I was a good player, but at one time I realized that, oh, my dear, I've reached the apex. Because, as you know, the political situation itself, maybe let me just give you something. If football, or by that time, if we were independent, by that time, if most of us could have played somewhere, even in some of these top leagues, like English Premier League or whatever, Spain or Syria, because the level of football was so high, and we reached a time where you say that what more can I do to prove? But the system could not allow you, meaning that the political aspect of it had an influence on people like me. I was already politicized, and I realized that what more can I do? Therefore, I was just rebelling against everything. That no, I have to do something. That is why I decided to go, because by that time I said, no, man, in this country there is no hope even to do anything. Because football was my life, honestly speaking, by that time. Apart from, being, student and all these things, because the student politics came also in, I said, no. There is no future for this country. Therefore, let me go and start somewhere else.
Where did the interest come from? You were as a footballer. A lot of footballers are not really involved in politics except from students from MLH and Dubra. But suddenly now you develop an interest in politics and you skip the country. And people when the football career was gone.
And people were wondering that, hey, this guy is a former footballer and if the country is a politician. You see what happened? Politics for us, like the people who were, let's say born in Windhoek in their own location, is part or was part of our upbringing. You see, you remember that even the 59, let's say massacre of our people in their own location. At that time, our mothers were just pushing us under the beds, and you could hear bullets on top of the arms. And then at the end of the day, it shows that politics was already in our vein. And when I came to Katutura and I joined the Agustinum, there was this student sort of politics. The discrimination, the sort of bad treatment and the Agustinum. Therefore, we got involved in the strike and all these things. And automatically, having now realized that this country is heading towards this direction, therefore, there was no hope anymore to stay here and play football. Football, I've done everything, I've achieved what I wanted. But then how do I go and become even better player or even have some monetary sort of a gain from my career? That's one of the things which even influence a number of people. I know, man, you will just do nothing as long as you are staying in this country. You will reach a certain apex and that's all. And therefore, I was not influenced by, football to go and play football outside. But by now, the political conviction that, no, I have to go and do my studies. And when I come back, maybe I will make a contribution to my people. And that is the socio-economic, upliftment of our people. That is what influenced me most.
1968, when we came from our location, you were one of the guys we found in Katutura. Although we were in the majority, you guys were a little bit more streetwise than us, or let's say wiser. You could speak Afrikaans, we couldn't speak Afrikaans. So how was the integration like with the other guys who came from one location? I think you guys look a little bit down on us.
No, you are partly right, because most of our guys who were in the first group, which we were, forcefully removed from, the old location, we joined people like the others who were coming from the Eros. There was another location also there. And these guys were mixed with different groups. Most of the problem with our own location was that this was an ethnic-based sort of a setup. The same thing also almost happened in Katutura, but we were now mixed because we were now having different people coming from different things. And we learned a lot from different cultures and, interaction with different groups. But at the end of the day, what makes me so feel proud is that the young guys from the old location, the one you are saying, were a bit blind, these guys were organizing tournament with us in Katutura. Can you believe it? That they could just walk from and come and play our team, which was, I mentioned, Jesus. And then all the things were just a way of us forgetting about the differences which elder people were having. The political differences. There were people like Katutura people, Menjengua, they were called Rwandwodo, Ukambumba, yeah. You see? And these were people who are now called puppets of the former regime. And therefore, for us, the young generation, or the kids, by that time we were kids, 12, 13, 14, we were not even considering those type of things because we were having a sort of other, let's say, dreams. And we were just thinking about focusing on our unity. And that is what makes me also, at the end of the day, feel part of the whole setup of African Star. When these guys, we started playing as young boys together, and then from there we integrated ourselves in the team. And for me, that was the beginning of what we call the political consciousness, that the politics of yesterday, which was divisive in terms of ethnicity and groups, was not relevant for us. I think I praise that part of our upbringing up to now. Even for me, it's something one have to be proud about.
Now, as a club legend, where do you want to see African Stars in the next couple of years as an entity?
Now, African Star, actually, it's a team which has got a long history. I know that it will at least remain, and it will at least, even become more stronger than it is. The whole thing about the team, when it applies to any teams, it's about the administration. If your administration, it's perfect, there is nothing also perfect, it's up to standard, your players and your other supporter clubs will always be supportive. The problem we are having with the clubs is that management and supporters may be at loggerheads. These are the type of things you need to exclude. And I hope African Star will not even go through that, because once you have got tension between the supporters, club and the management, therefore you are just in for a big, big failure. And I'm hoping that African Star, the way they have now built themselves, they've got the best players now. Although I think it's the best, the team with the best player now. But the problem I'm having with them is that at times they lose against teams which are not supposed to beat. Like the recent game of, was it the Shula, our president's cup, last cup which was played here. It was a big disappointment for me because I expected that game to be ours. But at the end of the day, you could just see that the midfield, it's completely dead. Even your striker, how can they be even, let's say, score? That means they end up without having even a score. How can you expect a big team of that nature to come out without a score and against a team which was formed almost 2-3 months ago? And for me, that is one thing which I still want to express, that our academy, African Star Academy, need to have coaches, people who have done at least of, let's say physical, let's say education, in order to even to strengthen the players, and even body-wise. Our players are so, what can I say? You cannot say they are thin, but they don't have the weight to fall like the West African players. You expect a player like Dion Houto or Siki or, the only player who can play against all that are people like Stika Kashere. You can see the body mass, but you have got a player who may even be like, is it Tretrix or whoever. You see that the player is good. He has got the ball control, but his body mass, it's lacking. And that is where the games are being lost. Because at the end of the day, another player does not even have to bump against you and then, stay. You're just down. And that is where we lack a lot. And I think with my team, African Star has got a future which is bright. And I believe most of us, if we stand behind it, we will take it a long way.
Thank you very much. With that, we have come to the end of another edition of African Stars Legends. So from all of us here, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.